العرب ولا سيما مصر والأردن خطة التهجير
يستدعي المعركة، ولكن إذا قرر العدو أن
Mr. Osama Hamdan, since 7th of October, the world is shocked by the operation by the military wing of Hamas. What's going on actually in 7th of October until now?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Everyone knows that through the last 3 decades, everyone was talking about the peace process. In fact, the peace process was undermining the whole Palestinian cause. After the signature of Oslo Agreement, there was enlargement of the settlements. In 1993, there was only 150,000 settlers in West Bank. Now we are talking about more than 800,000 settlers. In the last 2 weeks, Israeli government issued permissions to build 100 new settlements and building new units in 50 settlements. That means they are going to take over around 60% of West Bank. Regarding to Al-Aqsa Mosque, there is a clear plan to at least take over 50% of the mosque, building their temple, what they call Suleiman Temple. And when you go to the city, till now it's a Palestinian Muslim city. They want to convert it to a Jewish city. They are planning to take over 20% of the houses and there. So we were facing a kind of demolishing of the Palestinian cause. That brings the resistance to launch the military operation Al-Aqsa Typhoon on 7th of October. Israel was shocked by this operation because they considered their army as the most powerful army in the region, the 4th army in the world.
The invisible army.
The army which no one can defeat. So they were shocked. And in fact, the Americans were shocked more than them because mainly the plans of the United States was to turn Israel from an occupation to a normal state in the region, part of an alliance in the region with some of the Arab and Muslim countries in the world. So that all was destroyed. So they supported the Israeli attack. The Israelis attacked us hardly, and till now they are just killing women and children. We are talking about 19,000 people were killed, 78% of them women and children. We are talking about more than 53,000 Palestinians were injured. We are 70% of them, they were women and children. But at the same time, the resistance is still continuous, and the Israelis start to announce their losses. They have talked about more than 5,000 militants injured. But if you want to go to the hospitals and have the real count, you will talk about more than 8,000 soldiers. We are talking about soldiers, while when we talk about the Palestinians, we are talking about civilians. So this is the equation. They are killing the civilians while the Palestinians are fighting, injuring and killing the soldiers.
Now the world is divided into two. Some of them, they disagree with Hamas because Hamas kidnapped the civilians, while they are supporting you because before they are attacking the military. What's your opinion about this?
Well, you can't read the story from the last chapter. You can't start reading the Palestinian cause from the 7th of October. You have to start reading this cause from the 15th of May 1948, when the Zionist regime was established. And at that time, they committed a huge massacres. In fact, they destroyed and demolished 500 Palestinian village and town. And they kicked out Palestine by their force, more than 80% of the population at that time. And that was continuous. In 1967, they occupied Gaza and West Bank, including Jerusalem and Quds. And they continued their occupation till now. Even when they are talking about the peace, they are still having the upper hand, controlling the life of the Palestinians. When a Palestinian resists occupation, he is doing the right thing and he's acting according to even the international law. And I think on the international level, this resistance is supposed to be supported. Look at what is going in Ukraine. They provoked the Ukrainians to have their war with the Russians, and then they claim that the Ukrainians have the right to resist against Russia, and they have been supporting them all the time. So when you are talking about the situation, you are talking about a continuous occupation for 75 years, and the Palestinians have no choice except to resist this occupation. So the 7th of October was a resistance against the occupation. Talking about the Israelis, well, I have to say that all those Israelis who were attacked on the 7th of October, it was military. We attacked the military, and no one expected the complete failure of the military at that time. When the people in Gaza realized that there was a complete failure for the military, they came outside Gaza to what is called the settlements. In fact, originally, it was their own villages. I have to tell you that more than 70% of the Palestinians in Gaza, they are really refugees. They were kicked out from their own villages in 1948.
So refugees in their country.
They are refugees in their country. They were kicked out from the southern part villages, and they were kicked out from some northern villages to Gaza, like Ashkelon and Asdod. So when there was a complete failure for the military, everyone went back to his old town, where they found the settlers there. Some of them, they attacked the settlers because they are the real owners of the lands where the settlers are there. Some of them brought some of those settlers. Around 50% of the settlers who were brought, the men, they were originally soldiers. Now they are retired soldiers. Mm-hmm. They fought against the Palestinians in 1948 or in 1967. Although we offered to send them back at the 8th of October, the one who rejected that was the Israeli government. We declared that we are ready to send all those people who were not brought by Hamas back, while we will keep the soldiers who were taken from their tanks, from their camps as soldiers, because they are war prisoners, and we want to have an exchange with our arrested people in the Israeli jails. We are talking about, at that time, about 5,800 Palestinians in the jails, including around 100 women, 300 children. And when everyone is talking about the civilians, it's really strange that they don't mention the Palestinian civilians who are arrested in the Israeli jails. Most of the Palestinians who are in the jails, they are civilians. What about the women, the children? We have children around 12 years old in the jails. Mm-hmm. One of the released Palestinian women lately, she was arrested when she was 14, and she was sentenced for 20 years in the jail. Mm-hmm. She was released after 8 years those days. That means if you want to talk about the civilians, you have to start talking about the Palestinians. not to talk about the occupiers, who knows that they are coming to a war zone and they have to live with that. They can't come to the war zone and they can say we are just civilians.
Let's say this is the Palestinian right to defend or to attack the occupiers, but the result is 3,000, more than 3,000 of Palestinians in West Bank now is under Israeli jail since 8 of October. And the destruction in Gaza is a lot. How is the calculation made by Hamas here?
Well, when you talk about the Palestinians who were arrested in the West Bank, we are talking about 4,500 Palestinians till now. And 300 Palestinians were killed, were shot to death by the Israeli troops. But if you want to make the calculation, you have also to start from the first day. Well, I will not go through the history. In the last year, 2022, there was no operation like Al-Aqsa Typhoon. The Palestinian Authority is there. They have good relations with Israel. They have security arrangements. And when you go to the calculation, you will find that 500 Palestinians were killed in West Bank in 2020. It shows you that all the time the Israelis, as an occupation, they are killing the Palestinians, regardless to the situation, whether there is a resistance or there is no resistance, because they want to control the daily life of the Palestinians in details. Whenever you oppose that, not even resist, whenever you oppose that, you will be jailed or you may be killed.
Yeah.
So the idea here, you have to make an end for this occupation. You have to get rid of this occupation. You have to liberate yourself from the occupation. If you want to be liberated, you have to pay a price. Because simply the idea of the occupation, he's occupying you because he feels that he is the powerful side in the equation.
Yeah.
But if he came to the understanding that he can't control your life and you will keep resisting him, and he will pay for the occupation, for being an occupier, he will give up and he will leave. And I believe this is what the Palestinians are doing. And this will happen at the end. They will leave.
So you think that nonsense to have a diplomatic relationship with the Israeli occupiers? Is that correct?
I didn't hear in all the history that someone created diplomatic relations with the occupier. Simply, you can't deal with the occupier without resisting the occupier. Everyone knows that it's not a Palestinian experience, it's a human experience, it's a historical experience.
Then why is that some Arab countries condemn Hamas instead of supporting Hamas if it is useless to have a diplomatic relation?
Well, I think you have to ask them, because simply I believe there is no sense in what they are doing. Israel is not willing to just occupy Palestine. Israel is willing to take over whatever they can. Well, the mentality of the Israelis is just to invade other countries and to take the rights of everyone. Simply, if you go deep in the normalization of the relations between Israel and some Arab countries, you will find how there was a huge losses on the Arab side for the benefit of Israel.
Mr. Osama, let's go around to the diplomatic relationship between Hamas and other countries. We know that in many media says Hezbollah and Iranian footsteps and fingerprints everywhere in Gaza. Why you have a relationship with Iran and Hezbollah?
Well, in Hamas we are willing to have relations with everyone, and this is supposed to be on the basis of the support of the Palestinians and their rights. And when we start our relations in 1990, we have talked to everyone. and we've said the only one who will not be connected or talk to is the Israeli side. In Iran, they supported the Palestinian cause, they supported the resistance, they supported the Palestinian people. Some other countries, they are not doing the same. If the Iranians are giving all their support for the Palestinians, and some other countries, they are not doing the same, are we supposed to tell the Iranians you have to stop supporting the Palestinians? Hezbollah is supporting the Palestinians. In fact, he resists Israel like the Palestinians. And he won the fight against the Israelis, and he liberated most of the lands, the Lebanese lands. And they are still supporting the Palestinians, and they are still resisting the occupation. So we have good relations with them. Are we supposed to tell them because some others, they don't want relations with Hamas, you have to stop your relations with Hamas? In fact, the one who is supposed to be blamed, the one who is not supporting the Palestinian people and not supporting the Palestinian resistance. If you want to blame anyone, you have to blame the one who is in fact dealing with the Israelis against the Palestinians, not to blame the Iranians or Hezbollah or any other country who is supporting the Palestinians, supporting their resistance, standing for the rights of the Palestinians. You have to thank them. You have to see them as an example, as a model of how you can support the Palestinians and how the results can be if everyone supported the Palestinians in the region.
I just come from the south of Lebanon a couple of days ago, and I still hear the bombardment. We don't know whether that's Israeli attacking Lebanon or Lebanon, the Lebanese resistance attacking Israel. Do you think that this escalation along the border helped the Palestinian?
I believe it helps a lot. The Israelis are worried about the development in the southern part of Lebanon, which means the northern part of Palestine. So if there was such situation, they are sending weapons, military, they are evacuating the settlers from that part, and that causes a very important pressure on the Israeli government and on the Israeli army, which goes for the benefit of the Palestinian situation in Gaza. Imagine if they don't have this situation, they will send more than 15,000 more soldiers from the northern part of Palestine to Gaza. And that, if we want to talk about the field and the effect of the field, if you want to talk about the political effect, Israel, everyone knows that Israel couldn't fight on two sides. So this is having an important impact in Israel. They start asking about the future of their occupation, whether they are ready to continue fighting everyone in the region. What if that happened, for example, from the eastern part, through Jordan? They will not survive. And they are seeing that coming.
Are you expecting Jordan to join and Egypt also?
I'm not talking about Jordan, I'm talking about the people. I'm talking about the nations. This anger among all the Muslims in the world against Israel, even the non-Muslims who believes in the freedom of the Palestinians, this anger will have a clear end when the occupation is ended. So you can't imagine what will happen next if Israel continued attacking, killing, occupying the Palestinians.
But are you expecting Egypt and Jordan to join this war?
Well, when Israel invaded Lebanon in 1982 and the Palestinian resistance was defeated, no one imagines, even for a moment, that Hezbollah will be born. And the first days of Hezbollah, No one believes that Hezbollah can be a power in Lebanon. And when they became a power, no one believes that they will liberate the lands. That happened. So I think we have to believe that the resistance will be continued, and everyone have to believe that Israel will be ended. There is no future for Israel in the region, not because the region is against the Jewish people, because the region is against the occupation. In fact, the Jewish problem was created in Europe. When they were kicked out from Europe, they came to the Arab and Muslim countries. They lived in Morocco and Algeria, Tunisia, Egypt, Palestine, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and they were welcomed. Because as Muslims, we respect the belief of the people. We don't force the people to convert from their religion to be Muslims. We don't treat the people because of what they believe. We treat them according to what they do. But when they decide to be occupiers, this is another story.
Now is Yemen declaring war against Israel, and it seems the war will be widened. What's your opinion?
Well, in fact, they declared their support for the Palestinians. And they did not attack the Israelis just because they want to attack them. They have a clear condition. If Israel have to stop the attack against Gaza, and they have to make an end for the siege against Gaza, which I believe it was supposed to be done by everyone in the world, by all the countries in the world.
Including Egypt and Jordan?
Including the United States itself. Because what's the meaning of occupying the lands of the people without facing the international community? In fact, everyone treated Israel like a spoiled child in the international community. In Yemen, they have declared a clear position. We are doing that. No one is talking about what's happening in Lebanon, because everyone knows the story of the resistance against the occupation, but no one imagined that another country will join that, and join that in a very effective way.
Mr. Osama, we are, as an Indonesian, we have a President Sukarno in the past, where our president refused Israel to join the Asian game in 1960, and due to that, the world punish us. We are not included in Tokyo Olympic, and Sukarno doesn't care with that, and he created Ganevo. So since of that until now, we never accept Israel. We don't recognize Israel. Our Ministry of Foreign condemned Israeli attack. What's your hope from Indonesian people, actually?
Well, Indonesia is the biggest Islamic country, Muslim country, and Indonesia supported the Palestinian cause all the time. And we know that the people of Indonesia is they are supporting the Palestinian cause with no conditions. What we want from Indonesia is, on the political level, is to act as an important player in their region, in Asia-Pacific region, in order to convince and to bring the support, to convince the countries, other countries, and to bring their support for the Palestinian cause. And I believe we need the support from Indonesia, not against the Israeli attack, but also against the occupation as an occupation, and to work to make an end for this occupation. That means, or that includes also the support for the resistance, the support for the Palestinian nation, who are even resisting the occupation by their flesh.
We will have a new presidential election, and the new president will be chosen. And whoever the president, it will be depends on their political background. So what's your hope from the new president?
I hope that the new president reserve the position of Indonesia supporting the Palestinian people, the Palestinian resistance, and I hope that he will not go to the normalization of the relations with Israel under any circumstances and under any pressure. And I hope that he can't accept any kind of pressure to have normal relations with Israel, because they are still occupiers, and we believe that Indonesia is still in the position of, according to their people, in the position of supporting the Palestinians. I hope also that they can play a positive role in convincing everyone that no one can have real relations with Israel unless there is an end for the occupation. And the end of the occupation means that they have to have relations with the free, independent Palestinian state, not with Israel.
Are you supporting two-state solution?
Well, when Balfour has his own declaration, he said in the declaration that his government is willing to create a national state for the Jews on the Palestinian lands. So it was Palestine at that time, it is Palestine now, and it will be Palestine forever.
Thank you so much.